Ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead
Oh,
and get our meeting started. Okay, can we get a roll call?
Yes, sir. Dr. Bofi?
Present.
Dr. Bofi is present. Mr. Davis?
Present.
Mr. Davis is present. Ms. Edmonston? Mr. Garvey?
Here.
Mr. Garvey is present. Ms. Holloway?
Present.
Ms. Holloway is present. Dr. Jones?
Present.
Dr. Jones is present. Ms. Lewis?
Present.
Ms. Lewis is present. Ms. Orange Jones? Present. Ms. Orange Jones is present. Mr. Rock?
Present.
Mr. Rock is present. Dr. Thomason? Dr. Thomason is present. And Ms. Vautier? Here. Ms. Vautier is present. You do have a quorum.
Thank you.
Here you go. Sorry. I want to make sure the others are.
Is that the lady that's?
Okay, we're going to move next to the invocation.
Oh, you did.
And we have Janice Peoples with Southern University. I think is going to lead us in an invocation. If we could stand, please.
Shall we pray? Heavenly Father, we pray that you will give us your gift of knowledge, that we might always make the best decisions for the good of all the school children in Louisiana. We pray that you give us the wisdom to know and define our tasks, the strength to build and refine our educational goals, and the courage to persevere as necessary. We ask for your direction that we might make unselfish decisions for those we serve. We pray that all who are assembled here have a safe journey home, and we thank you for all your past and future blessings. We ask these blessings. Amen.
Amen.
And we're going to have Maria Young with Southern University help us with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Even though we don't have...
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay. Next item is...
Approval of the minutes. We have approval of the agenda.
Can we get a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Ms. Bofi, can you second? Ms. Holloway? Thank you. Any objections to the motion? Hearing none, that motion carries. Next item.
Next item is approval of the minutes of March 4th, 2016.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the board approve the minutes of March 4, 2016, amending motion 5.6.8 as follows. On motion of Dr. Jones, seconded by Mr. Davis, the board approved as a notice of intent revisions to Bulletin 126 Charter Schools, Section 301 definitions, and Section 2701 students eligible to attend relative to Type 2 charter school residency requirements.
This was the technical edit that was left off of the original motion last month.
Okay, Mr. Davis, thank you.
I second the motion.
Brock, seconds. Any questions from BESE members? Hearing none, do we have any objections to the motion? Hearing none, that motion carries. Next item.
Next item is consideration of executive session regarding the annual evaluation of the Superintendent of Education.
Okay, do we need to get the motion first before I read all of the instructions? Okay, the board president asks for a motion to go into executive session to discuss the annual evaluation of the state superintendent of education.
What name?
Roll call.
Well, we need to get a motion.
So moved.
Mr. Davis, second by Ms. Bofi. We need to do a roll call vote on this.
Yes, sir. Dr. Bofi?
Yes.
Dr. Bofi votes yes. Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Davis votes yes. Ms. Edmonston?
Yes.
Ms. Edmonston votes yes. Ms. Holloway?
Yes.
Ms. Holloway votes yes. Dr. Jones?
Yes.
Dr. Jones votes yes. Ms. Lewis?
Yes.
Ms. Lewis votes yes. Ms. Orange Jones?
Yes.
Ms. Orange-Jones votes yes. Mr. Rock?
Yes.
Mr. Rock votes yes. Dr. Thomason?
Yes.
Dr. Thomason votes yes. Ms. Vautier? Yes. Ms. Vautier votes yes. Mr. Gorby, do you wish to vote?
Yes, I vote yes.
Mr. Gorby votes yes.
Executive session will be in the Colorado Room, 1-141. I'd like to note that we did need a 2/3 vote, and we had that. There will be no votes taken in executive session. All votes will be cast in public. Thank you. Okay. Get the BESE members back in their seats. And we get a motion to reconvene into regular session.
Second.
Mr. Thomason, seconded by Mr. Davis. Do we have any objections to that motion? Hearing none, we are reconvened. And there were no action items to be taken as a result of the meeting, so we will go on to the next item.
The next item is the report from the State Superintendent of Education.
Thank you. Members, I want to just bring you up to date. First, I'll tell you I'm very much looking forward to our August retreat, as you know. It is at that meeting where I hope that we will be able to lay out plans for next year. There are two significant things that are going to happen in the time between now and then that will inform that retreat that I wanted to bring you up to date on. Typically, July and early August are the times that are most intense in terms of the release of results from the previous school year. Over the course of July, schools will receive their LEAP results back. They will soon receive their end of course test results back. They will receive ACT results back, advanced placement, international baccalaureate assessments, work keys assessments, and other results come back over the period of that time. Most of those are just processed with school systems, and then we, in the fall, package them for a series of reflection discussions with the superintendents and with the principals of those schools. So most of them are not public. However, they're public, they're just not with a big public release. However, historically, the LEAP results, the ACT results, and the AP results, as well as graduation results, which lag by roughly a year, typically are the subject of larger public discussion. I think you can anticipate in the time between now and the next meeting, release of LEAP results from this year, ACT results, and then around the time of the next meeting, advanced placement results as well. I'm looking forward to receiving those results, and I'll certainly be providing you with an advanced briefing on all of those things. Secondly, I have conducted over the last couple of weeks, and I'm grateful to those of you who are in attendance at some of them. About half the board attended at least one of those meetings. I have convened meetings with education stakeholders, civil rights and advocacy stakeholders, and business and industry stakeholders, just as an initial kind of get our feet wet type of discussions about the Every Student Succeeds Act. From here, we will be conducting discussions prior to the next board meeting, the last week of July and the first week of August, in communities in every one of your districts. These are open to the public meetings that will last probably between 2 and 3 hours to discuss the law, to lay out what all the decisions are that the department, that the board, and any other governmental body need to make, and to really get deep with a variety of community members regarding what that law requires. As I said at a meeting earlier this week that Ms. Lewis and Ms. Edmonston attended, where we go from there in the dialogue, I think, is to be determined in terms of how many meetings and where we have the meetings. But I would say this, it is at our advisory councils where and BESE meetings where the most in-depth discussions will likely happen. This is the Special Education Advisory Panel, the Superintendent's Advisory Council, the Accountability Commission, and our ongoing statewide meetings of teacher leaders, superintendents, and others. At these meetings is really where we'll be going deep into the policy details. I have offered to any school community, any school system, any advocacy organization, any industry association, chamber of commerce, and other groups, if they want to host a meeting across the state, our staff will conduct those meetings, and we'll work with Ms. Davis and her staff on that process as well. And I will say that if there's one thing that I took from this week's meeting, it was thanks to a comment actually that Mr. Fleming made. We probably need to shift away from just the, hey, what do you think type discussions toward, here's our best thinking right now. Please react to that discussion as quickly as we can. I would probably prefer not to do that prior to our retreat, as I would like our retreat to inform, what that thinking should be. But after that, I do feel some urgency to begin conversing with stakeholders about here's what our best thinking is, here what other states are thinking, rather than just kind of saying, here's a question, what does everybody think? So I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be a very intense 6 to 9 months of discussion, and appreciate the chance to update the board and provide this report. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You are welcome. Do we have any questions or comments from BESE members? Hearing none, let's go to the next item, please.
The next item is item 6.1. Tab 6.1, Academic Goals and Instructional Improvement Committee. Dr. Bofi.
On behalf of the Academic Goals and Instructional Improvement Committee, I move to approve motions 2 through 18, noting that motions 12, 13, 15, 16, and 17 are notices of intent, and motion 13 is an emergency rule, and pulling motion 1 as a read item.
Okay, can we get a second to that motion? Mr. Davis? We vote on it before we pull
Yeah, you
and...
want to take this comment card first?
Yes, okay. We have a speaker, Mr. Les Landon.
Thank you, and I promise. Thank you, and I promise to be brief. My name is Les Landon. I'm here representing the 20,000 members of the Louisiana Federation of Teachers. On yesterday, at the meeting of the Academic Goals and Instructional Improvement Committee, this board voted to go into special session to discuss pending litigation, apparently regarding the lawsuit filed against Mike Castells and Dr. Finney. After consulting with our attorneys, we believe that executive session was entered into in violation of Louisiana Revised Statutes 42:19. It says that anytime an executive session involves pending litigation, there shall be attached to the written notice of the meeting a statement identifying the court case number and the parties relative to any pending litigation. It also says that in cases of extraordinary emergency, such notice shall not be required. However, the public body will give such notice of the meeting as it deems appropriate and circumstances permit. Since the item was already on the agenda as consideration of a report regarding the public records, I don't think it could be considered an emergency situation. My only purpose here is to remind you that there are laws that need to be followed, and that we expect BESE to follow those public meeting laws. And that's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Finney spoke, that put us at risk. So the intent was not to go into executive session. That was an item that was added by Ms. Edmonston. And as Dr. Finney spoke to the group, it put the board at risk for the discussion, and that's why the board notes on their agenda that if something should occur that would require executive session, you have that right.
Okay, well, let's review the laws again and double up on our efforts to make sure we comply with all of the laws. Okay, we have a motion on the floor to approve
2 through 18.
2 through 18.
2 through 18. Do we have any objections to that part of 6.1? Hearing none, that motion carries. And now we'll hear one part that was pulled.
Motion 1. Go ahead. On motion of Ms. Holloway, seconded by Mr. Davis, the Academic Goals and Instructional Improvement Committee recommends that the board approve the non-public school academic classification for the following schools:
St. Lillian Academy in East Baton Rouge Parish, non-accredited approved, and Upper Lafayette Academy in Lafayette Parish, non-accredited approved.
Okay, I wanted to make a comment on this, and I'm not arguing a point one way or the other, but several years ago, before a lot of the people that are on the board now were on the board, BESE worked with the legislature and LCTCS to transfer BESE's authority over a lot of adult education over to the LCTCS system. I was very proud of that unusual move. I don't remember any, if many, government agencies willingly giving up authority over jobs and money and budgets, but BESE did that, and I thought it was a good thing. But you guys were not around, and I thought it would be good to ask for a report from the department about the current situation and how it's progressing with BESE and the LCTCS working towards the adult education issue. I would encourage a motion to that, and I'm not going to argue with one or the other, but I would suggest a motion on that.
Mr. Chairman, if you would help with the clarification of the wording, I would offer a motion for such a report.
Okay, I would ask you for a report from the department regarding the current status of the relationship between LCTCS and the department's efforts on adult education.
I would make that motion.
Second.
Thank you. Second. Do we have any questions? Comments from Mr. Superintendent?
I just would emphasize, I think that the issue that's being raised here is that there are schools that we are obligated to review, and provided that they meet the standards for review, to approve. Approving a non-public school in Louisiana makes it eligible, for example, to receive government funding. That's not a recent practice. That's a many, many decades long practice. Some such schools offer high school diplomas to students who are not of kindergarten through 12th grade age. They are 21 and older. And this is an area where the law is not exactly clear. I think it's fair to say that it opens up some concerns about what exactly an adult education is and who exactly is responsible for delivering an adult education. We have started discussions with LCTCS about this. I think that the solution to this issue resides really in LCTCS taking responsibility for providing adult education services, as this is a great thing that people are pursuing their high school diploma, but on the other hand opens up possibilities of essentially unregulated institutions offering high school diplomas, which is, I think, contradictory to the policies the board has adopted. So we look forward to the discussions with LCTCS, and we'll keep you up to date on this, and I appreciate you raising it, Mr. Chairman.
Sure, sure. And this was in particular in reference to the Upper Lafayette Academy, which is
correct,
addressing that population.
Can I just ask a question? So the Upper Lafayette Academy, it offers regular high school diplomas in addition to high set? I mean, they do both?
Yes, and what we have begun, being more aware of this type of institution, and again, I just think there's this fine line. On one hand, we hear from their constituents saying, but I want a high school diploma, I'm sorry I came to this late, and there's nothing in the law saying that you have to be of a certain age to get a high school diploma. On the other hand, we have a very specific adult education system that's within the community college system, as Mr. Garvey mentions, and you kind of have to question, well, what's the purpose of having an adult education system if adults just go back and get the education credentials for minors? We need to work this out with them, and we raise it with you today just because under the law you are charged with approving schools that qualify, but at the same time we wanted you to be aware that this is a school that has raised some questions because of this intersection of older individuals getting high school degrees.
Just a quick follow-up then, if they're getting a regular high school diploma, they still have to take the EOCs and such?
They do. Yes, they do.
It's having the adults taking them.
Correct. It's not a question of whether these individuals are meeting the requirements. They are. It's just a question of, does this mean that somebody who is 20 years out of after having dropped out of high school should be able to come back and get a diploma. Obviously, the HiSET or the GED is historically more the credential that person has earned. So there's a tough policy question here, but it's not one that we can just answer by continuing to sustain schools that are outside offering this degree and at the same time having LCTCS offering their degree. I think we have to bring these together.
Okay, and just to clarify, Mr. Davis, your motion was to expect that report back at our August meeting?
I think delay this, but this intrigues me. I didn't know this was happening. Are these adults eligible for funding through MFP or anything since they're pursuing a regular high school diploma, or is there an age limit?
No, and there are not public schools. Remember, there are age levels that restrict public school attendance. The MFP can only go to public schools.
Okay, so Upper Lafayette Academy is not like a public charter or anything like that. It's a private school.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think August is fair.
Okay, thank you, sir. We have a motion on the floor. Yes, sir, Mr. Jones.
I'd just like to note for the record that there are occasions when public schools do allow a student like that to come back. I know when I was superintendent at Rapides, I had a 45-year-old lady who only needed 2 credits to graduate, and she came back to me, and I did put her in the system, and she did get her diploma. I'm scratching my head here trying to remember whether I snuck her into my student count for that year or not. But there was nothing in the thing at the time that said I couldn't, so I probably did, knowing me. But the reality of that is that it's not an unusual circumstance. It does happen. It happens a lot of times with folks around 20, 21 years of age. It's a little unusual for somebody 45. And she had a GED, by the way. There are people who don't necessarily see the GED as being the equivalent of a regular high school diploma.
And let me add, and I don't want to make this more complicated, there is the regular high school diploma. Then there are just diplomas that can be offered that are not regular high school diplomas. They're diplomas more oriented toward individuals who attend non-registered schools. So the drive to get a diploma compels certain individuals to pursue something other than a GED, and I do think we need to bring this into tighter organization with the community colleges.
Okay. Well, I think we will hear more about that. Any objections to the motion? Hearing none, the motion carries. Next item.
Now we need a motion for motion 1. To approve motion 1.
Oh, I thought we had that on the table. That's what we had on the
to
table.
approve.
Okay, can we get a motion to approve item 1?
So moved.
Second.
Yeah, we're going to bifurcate it, right?
Motion by Ms. Boucher, second by Ms. Bofi. Any objections? Hearing none, motion carries. Next item.
Next item, 6.2, Administration and Finance Committee, Mr. Davis.
On behalf of the Administration and Finance Committee, I move to approve motions 1 through 117.
We get a second?
Second.
Ms. Bofi, thank you.
I'd like to recuse on motions 88 and 100.
Okay, so noted.
Recuse 88 and 94.
Ms. Holloway, so noted.
Recuse 88, 93, 95, and 97.
Ms. Edmonston,
88, 93, 97.
95 and 97.
I think there was one for AGII that the 3 of you, would y'all like to be added for the one regarding the
Yesterday.
lead agencies?
Yes.
that's all 3 individuals.
It was early care.
Okay, with those comments noted, do we have any objections to the motion from the remaining members? And we have a quorum, the remaining members still give us a quorum. Okay. Hearing none, that motion passes. Next item.
Next item, Committee of the Whole, RSD Matters Only, Administration and Finance Committee, Mr. Davis.
On behalf of the Committee of the Whole, Administration and Finance Committee, I move approval of motions 1 through 12.
We give a second. Ms. Bofi, thank you. Do we have any questions on these items? Comments? Hearing none, do we have any objections to the motion? Hearing none, motion carries. Next item.
Next item, 6.4, Committee of the Whole, RSD Matters Only, School Innovation and Turnaround Committee, Ms. Lewis.
On behalf of the Committee of the Whole, School Innovation and Turnaround Committee, I move approval of motions 1 through 3.
Second.
Second by Ms. Bofi. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, do we have any objections to the motion? Hearing none, motion carries. Next item.
Next item, Educator Effectiveness Committee, Dr. Jones.
On behalf of the Educator Effectiveness Committee, I move approval of motions 1 through 15 and 17 through 19, pulling motion 16 as a read and noting that motion 10 is a notice of intent.
Get a second on that motion?
Second.
Ms. Popey, thank you. Any questions or comments on that motion? Hearing none, any objections to that motion? Hearing none, that motion carries. Let's get a read on the item that was pulled. Can we get staff to? That's okay.
I'm sorry, was that web to mine? Okay.
Motion 16, on motion of Ms. Holloway, seconded by Ms. Lewis, the Educator Effectiveness Committee recommends that the board deny the reinstatement of a Louisiana Ancillary Artistic Drama Teaching Certificate number 547392, appropriate to the credentials of Ms. Talisha N. Diaz. Ms. Diaz is here for comment.
This morning.
Good morning.
Make a motion.
Yes, ma'am.
I just have, if you just give me a few moments to read what I prepared, I'd appreciate it. Thank you. Good morning, board and committee members. Thank you once again for this opportunity to speak at this time. Please allow me to take these next few moments, like I stated, to say some things that I'm petitioning again, that you will restore my ancillary certification in drama. Firstly, I've always taken full responsibility for my role and actions surrounding this terrible act. And like I mentioned yesterday, I've spent the last 15 years redeeming myself by becoming a functioning and contributing member of society. The justice system trusted in me at that time by giving me a chance to have a life and a career as an adult, and they gave me an opportunity to rectify and to rehabilitate myself. I've been very successful in doing so. Some things about me that are not on paper: I am a strong leader. I'm a mentor. I'm a business owner. I'm an encourager. I'm a motivator. I motivate young girls and women alike to discover their full potential. I advise them on making right choices as adults and as teenagers that will affect their lives for the rest of their lives. In all humility, I could have filled this room with affluent and non-affluent persons who can attest to my character, but that's not the most important thing. Additionally, I did not become a product of my environment, but I overcame barriers that others would have probably succumbed to. I have friends that did, but I never quit. That's not in my DNA. My tenacity, in fact, has brought me here again. I leave you with this. I am not a risk to children, parents, colleagues, or my superiors. My behavior since March 25th, 2001 has proven that I am not a violent person or threat to children. I don't think there's a person in this room that has not made a bad choice and was able to fix it. That's a part of being human. I just ask for a moment that you all would think about your children. Sorry, I said I wasn't going to do this. Excuse me. If you would think about your children and your grandchildren and your family and how you try to rear them, but when they go out into the world, things happen so fast. And that all those choices and those good choices you try to instill in them can be gone in an instant. And this could have happened to anybody. And I'm aware of that. And I often have asked God, why me? But nevertheless, I probably will never know that answer, and that's okay. I do know that he gave me another chance to be educated and do something with my life. And I just ask that you would do the same. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Additionally, I provided another copy. There was with the charge, which really makes not that much of a difference, but it does. There was a statute modifier for the charge, which is not listed in any of the offenses in the handbook. So this modifier is very important because originally the paperwork said it was an accessory charge to it, and it was not. I was not an accessory to this crime. It was after the fact, which is 14.25, which is an after the fact, which does not carry the same sentence as the original charge. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Edmondson?
And do we have that information she's referring
Yeah.
to?
The handout, did you get it?
Yeah, it's right there between you and Sandy.
It was handed out to us, Ms. Edmondson.
Mr. Jones?
Where is it in the binder?
I'd like to make a motion, but before I make the motion, I would simply say, and I'm sorry, because we really would like for folks to have second chances and for rehabilitation and so forth. But ultimately, we have to do exactly what you said. We have to consider the children and the grandchildren. So, and there are a lot of unknowns in there. And so if we're going to err, in my opinion, we have to err on the side of the children. So my motion is to deny the recommendation.
Second by Ms. Holloway. Do we have any questions from BESE members? Comments from BESE members? Hearing none, do we have any objections to the motion?
Thank you
Hearing
so
none,
much.
motion carries. Next item.
Next item is 6.6, School Innovation and Turnaround Committee. Dr. Jones.
On behalf of the School Innovation and Turnaround Committee, I move to approve motions 1 through 10, noting that motions 8 and 9 are notices of intent.
Do we have a second to that motion?
Second.
Second by Mr. Davis. Do we have any questions or comments from BESE members? Hearing none, do we have any objections to the motion? Hearing none, motion carries. Next item.
Next item is consideration of executive session regarding, receive a report from Superintendent's Advisory Council. This is the next item, 7.1.
Okay. Can we get a motion to receive?
Yeah, motion.
Ms. Holloway, second by Ms. Davis. Do we have a presentation on that, or
No,
do we just receive?
You're receiving the minutes.
Okay. Do we have any questions from BESE members on that item? Okay. Do we have any objections to the motion? Hearing none, the motion carries. Next item.
8.1, consideration of executive session regarding Texas et al. Versus U.S. et al. USDC, North District, Texas. Docket number 7:16 CB 00054-2.
Okay. That contains a description of the case, the name of the case.
I don't have any information. The amended agenda did not get put in the book.
It's okay.
My fault.
I don't know what that is.
Okay. We need a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Jones and second by Ms. Bofi. We need to get a roll call vote, and we will need a 2/3 affirmative vote on that motion.
Okay, roll call. Roll call to go into executive session. Dr. Bofi?
Yes.
Dr. Bofi votes yes. Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Davis votes yes. Ms. Edmonston?
Yes.
Ms. Edmonston votes yes. Ms. Holloway?
Yes.
Ms. Holloway votes yes. Dr. Jones?
Yes.
Dr. Jones votes yes. Ms. Lewis?
Yes.
Ms. Lewis votes yes. Ms. Orange Jones?
Yes.
Ms. Orange Jones votes yes. Mr. Rock?
Yes.
Mr. Rock votes yes. Dr. Thomason?
Yes.
Dr. Thomason votes yes. Ms. Voce? Yes. Ms. Voce votes yes. Mr. Gorby, do you wish to vote?
Yes, and I vote yes.
Mr. Gorby votes yes.
Okay, I'd like to inform the public that no votes will be taken in executive session. All votes will be cast in public. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do it.
I'll entertain a motion to reconvene.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Davis, second by Ms. Orange Jones. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Have a good
Second.
day.